Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. It's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, A Box with No Lid. A channel I've spent the last few years creating to delve into and explore the reality in the world that is trauma. The reality and world of the world of adoption and foster care, pre-verbal, early childhood, multiple event developmental, all the different types of trauma and the way we experience them as a human being, and explore and understand the pathways it creates from a perspective of the lived reality of it. So much gets lost in technical terminology and in a reductionist approach to how we address the traumatic experiences. We narrow it down into specific parts and try to tease apart or explore or work with just one part. But the moment we bring it back into a real physical reality, so much of that falls down, and hence I'm trying my best to keep this channel and everything I portray in this channel from a day-to-day perspective. Also, in my many years as a practitioner and as an advocate, I found that it's what we do in our day-to-day life, every minute, every hour of every waking life, and our sleeping night and nights as well, of our actual daytime and our actual nighttime. So much of that is where our healing lies, not in the hour or two a week if we're fortunate enough to be able to work with a therapist. So I want to keep this as real and as grounded into the day-to-day. And as I'm an adoptee and I come from a childhood that began in the way that it did and was reinforced the way that it was, I want to bring in, through that understanding, how it shapes the paths we walk. Now, the animation you're about to watch is pretty hard hitting, but it is a very common experience for adoptees and many children who go through the foster care system, because it is a response and the only way to respond to all the complexities of removal. Very few people actually take the time to consider everything that happens when you take a child for placement, regardless of the reasons and justifications. And a large part of my channel, I'm trying to explain this in all these different perspectives, because there are so many pathways within this and so many experiences within this. But our nervous system responds the way that it does to threat, because that is how we're biologically designed, neurophysiologically designed. When you add pre-verbal in utero and developmental trauma, when you add traumatic experiences that would overwhelm any adult on an infant, it completely fundamentally shapes how their nervous system, how their entire physiology responds to everything around them. When you look at the triggers associated with removal trauma, it is everything in our daily life. Every interaction is a trigger. And in a young child, that becomes impossible to process. And that leads to versions of dorsal vagal shutdown states and dissociative states and fight or flight responses that I will show you in these little real world scenario animations. Here is the one for this video now. Warning, it does bite a little, it has a trigger. So please be mindful of that. But I will speak with you after the video. Hope.
Mum's voice drifts down the hall again. She's on the phone, talking about me. I can hear every word, even if I wish I couldn't. I don't know what is wrong with her. She won't talk, she won't play, she says. She does everything I ask her to, but something is wrong with her. She isn't normal. I don't know why I'm like this. I want to talk, I really do, but when I get near people, it's like my brain just switches off. Nothing comes out, no words, no sound, just silence. If I try to force it, the words sound wrong and broken, and people stare at me like I'm some sort of freak. It's easier to just stay quiet, to be invisible. I'll sit and draw my pictures, slipping into the worlds I make for myself, places where the words always come, and I can be anyone I want to be. Out here, I stay small and hidden, hoping no one will notice I'm different. Maybe if I'm quiet enough, I'll finally fit in, or maybe I'll just keep dreaming of somewhere I truly belong.
Hey you guys, now with this animation, we see a dissociative process. We see a young child's nervous system that hasn't been taught any way of processing all the experiences this child has gone through. And this is at the core of adoption and removal trauma and foster care trauma. An adult, you have life experience, you have multitudes of experiences, you know that relationships come and go, you know how to process grief, or you learn these steps through observing. You have life experience to draw upon, and your nervous system has experiences to draw upon to at least start to process. There is a reason why the entire world of psychology exists, and it makes a fortune from adults because they can't process. Well, if adults have such difficulty at these experiences, why aren't we considering what a child has to process? Especially when you remove them for placement, even if they have legitimate reasons to. Those reasons are still part of that processing. All of this on a young, undeveloped mind, on a young, undeveloped child, without the life experiences, without the ecology to support it, being placed with strangers as the only support base, having to prioritize learning how to connect to these strangers rather than gaining comfort from them. All this sets a child up with very few options and pathways to respond. Remember, we have shutdown, fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze. That's all we have to work with. Part of the freeze state, part of the flight state is dissociation. If our physical body can't get away, we escape internally. We dissociate. We separate our consciousness from our physical body. In dissociative states, you can perform, as an example, you can perform surgery on someone without anesthetic and they won't feel a damn thing. When you look at children who dissociate and we withdraw into a space where we're trying to find a way to make sense of, without having any adults to guide us, without having physical connection and co-regulation to teach our nervous system, we learn to self-soothe from a very young age. We cannot rely on anybody else. Anything else is temporary. It's only going to harm us. So we learn to self-soothe. Part of self-soothing is we dissociate. We cannot fix our body. We're powerless to change our circumstances, so we separate from it. It becomes a meat suit and nothing more. We don't embrace it. We don't explore life. We don't develop pleasurable experiences or explore the nuances of human connection. We build a separate world structure within us because we're trying to still answer the first questions of how we got into this situation in the first place. We're stuck on trying to process why we were taken, why we're not good enough to be raised by our mum and dad. Who are our mum and dad and why didn't they come for us? Why did they let us go? Why did they give us up? These questions we don't move past, and they develop as a fundamental block. And we develop a life from this. We develop a life separate from the outside world. And where this is particularly dangerous in our modern world is we have the technology, the gaming and everything else to do it. A person can completely detach from all physical engagement if we allow it. But when we come across children and how we work with children who are in this dissociative state, is we need to create a middle ground. A meeting place halfway between their dissociative state and their physical state. And we need to create a safe place that they are in control of to begin the negotiations, to help build the physical connections to hopefully allow co-regulation. The closeness of an adult's nervous system with their nervous system so their nervous system can naturally learn how to re-regulate from the adult's nervous system, the way that we are designed as human beings. It is the only path we've got. We've spent decades and decades exploring medications and institutionalizations and electric shock therapies and all these tortures with little to no meaningful long-term success. But when you look at the old world of approaching trauma, co-regulation, community, safety, building a path to where a child or a person or an adult is safe, and then rebuilding that person from scratch works. I will come at it from the old world perspective over the new world any day. But back to this little girl. This little girl represents so many children, boys and girls, within the system. So many separate and dissociate and create a world where they're trying to find not only serenity and the escape, but also the answers. And if we can create a middle ground and a way of helping them learn those answers at their own pace and in their own way, we can start to expand their life experience and open the door for them to feel safe enough to start the process and re-engage with their body and the world again. I really hope you guys understand where I'm coming at from this, and I really hope you guys take the time to understand the commonality and the depth of this. As always, I love your guys' comments and feedback. Please be mindful, please be safe, and I will see you all next time.